Alright, so I'm going to try something a little different. This time I'm using my tablet to record the new setup that I'm going to do for some coasters. These are a couple tests. When I used my board, I put, which is kind of hard to see, here we go, I used duct tape on the bottom, and this duct tape actually had a couple pieces on the bottom that I popped right off real easily. So I have my frame that I made mostly out of popsicle sticks, glue, Gorilla Glue, and duct tape. So, bam. So that's the frame that I'm going to use. There's 3 different types of coasters I'm going to do as a test here. First is using this cardboard with some duct tape on it with my frame. I'm going to stick it kind of like so. As long as it's on the duct tape and holds in that position. If any runs out, I'm not too worried. I don't really care at this time. But I will make sure that if it runs too much, it stays on the plastic. Other thing is this. This part is part of the Tupperware that I cut out or cut off. And what I want to do is, with the frame as it's setting, this is going to be sitting on top. So it'll kind of be like sitting in there. And the reasoning is, I like the idea, which I took it out of the room. There's a little, as I talked about before, a little divot right there from the Tupperware. That I kind of like that idea for the coasters, that it has that. Plus, as you know, with the Tupperware, there's that little kind of, as you can see, it indents a little bit down here. So there's an indentation here. And I like that. And that part will be what will sit on your table, coffee tables, side dressers, whatever you're going to use the coasters for. So that's the plan I want to do with that. Now, if this frame does really good with this in it, I will make another frame and go from there. I do have a plan that I have some extra wood from a project I did with my fiance, and that piece of wood, I have it roughly sketched out on the wood where I want the coasters to sit while it's being framed, is the best word to call it. So what I'm going to do is get the extra wood I have, cut some pieces, and build a frame for it as deep as this one is. And that will be how deep and long and size-wise the coasters would be. Now, since this is not rounded, that will be something I will do after the epoxy is set, round it off a little bit with my Dremel tool or sandpaper, either or. So that's this test. I'm going to do it again in the Tupperware that I have here. And in this Tupperware, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make it a lot more than the first one. So probably get it poured to right about here. So it kind of has that, it's like a bowl set up, how I'm going to do it. See how it balances and if I like it that way. And lastly, my last test here is using the cover of this Tupperware. It's about the size I want it to be. As you can kind of see here, it's about the size, the inside of the frame I made. So I want to fill that in. It also still has the little indent. It's just a little bit smaller than the original on the Tupperware. So I'm going to use this, fill this section in, see how it works. If this works better, and it pops out just as easy as it did with the Tupperware, I'm going to do that. So that's how I'm going to do it. Now, because this is clear gloss epoxy, that I'm using, it's kind of hard to get a good shot of that glassy effect. Like, you kind of can't see it too well on this. You kind of can. So you can see the difference of the wood itself here compared to the epoxy. But it's like on camera it's hard to notice. So I'm going to, for this test, I'm not going to do it by this piece. If I could get a good shot here. I'm not going to do this piece. It just needs its float coat, which is the last coat. Depending on if I have extra epoxy mixed from my 3 tests for coasters, I'll finish epoxy it and get it all done tonight. Now, because I just ordered some new pigments to add into this thing, I am going to find out how that works, how the coloring looks. I'm not going to do super dark. I'm picking white, purple, and blue. Those are the 3 I'm going to use. And it's just like a little drip in the actual coaster setup. So, as of right now, it is 55. Oh no, it just now 56 degrees percent humidity in this room, and 72 degrees for in the actual setup. As you can see, the lowest it has been recently is 66, which was the other day. So since I have a lot of small popsicle sticks, I'll use that to stir in some the pigment, and I'm going to make sure I grab all my gear, and I have everything this time because last time I forgot some stuff. So I'm going to go grab those and then we'll start. So, be right back. Alright, so I sound a little different now, and that's because I'm using the mask this time. I'm doing it because the bag the pigments came in, you know how sometimes you open new things, it just has that new smell, and I just don't really like the smell. And if it ends up making the epoxy smell 10 times worse for air quality in here, I would rather have the mask on before it starts dipping and go from there. I'm not really that type of person to wear the mask in the first place because I'm just weird like that. But alrighty, so I have my stuff. I'm getting my gloves on right now. I normally just wear one glove because using both gloves I end up getting powder all over my hands, and then I end up spreading it all over the place. So, alright, I'm going to shift my shift everything back a bit here. So I think I could, if I can, just going to stick with the setup I got right now, as long as you guys can kind of see what's going on. Doing my best here. So right now I'm making sure that I didn't put a hole in my glove, because that has happened to me before. I got the tongue depressor for changing everything, and look at my timer. And here I'm going to do something different. Now, the actual instructions on the incredible solutions that I'm using says 5 minutes stir time. I watched a couple videos that they actually did it with a total of 8 minutes, and that's how long I've been doing it since, because of the video. But since this is test with my coasters, I'm going to see if there's a difference between an 8-minute stir compared to a 5-minute stir, and if there's any changes in that process. If there isn't any, then I don't have to stir for an extra 3, which most people pour it into another thing and stir. So I'm just going to use the one container I have and see what happens. So hopefully it comes out just as good. And if not, I can say that I have tried to follow the instructions to a T that says stir for 5 minutes. As you see, mix thoroughly for 5 minutes for 1:1 volume with incredible solution crystal clear agent. It does not say anything else of extra stirs, pour it into a new container and store more, which is normally what I do when I do the extra 3 minutes. I pour it into a new container and do that. So I'm now looking at this. It just says mix thoroughly for 5 minutes. Once the camera kind of readjusts here, give it a second. There it goes. Mix thoroughly for 5 minutes at a 1:1 ratio by volume with the resin. That's it. So I'm not saying that those other professionals, and I'm not saying I'm the professional, I'm just somebody who is looking at the instructions, and I'm like, well, if it says for 5 minutes, why not do it for 5 minutes? See what happens. And then I could be like, oh, well, now I see why the other people who stir it for a total of 8 minutes by doing 5 minutes in one container and then 3 minutes in another one, is to make sure they get everything, which I understand. So for right now, we're going to stick with the actual amount that they say, which is the 5 minutes per stir. So right now I'm going to do more than the 2. I normally do 2 ounces, and then do from there with 2 ounces, I do 2 ounces of the agent. So this time I'm actually going to do 3 ounces of base, and then 3 ounces of the other one, of the agent. So we're going to see a difference possibly here of doing this. So let me make sure I see how I'm pouring this. And we are at 6. Bam. So since this is 1:1, that's how much it's supposed to be, 6. And so now we got it all in. I'm opening my timer here on my phone. I'm gonna actually start looking into getting a timer that is separate of me using my phone, because I could have a set timer or have a multiple timer that allows me to do more than just 5 minutes and then have to reset or touch my phone. Because if I'm wearing both gloves at the time, that means I can't touch nothing. I don't want to touch anything. And if I have something that I'm okay with getting dirty, I would like that. So this is the hard part when you have really bad hands. So right now I'm making sure I'm not splashing it into on my hands or onto my gloves. Granted, the whole purpose of gloves is to make sure if you do splash it on there, it is protecting you. So as you can see, I'm stirring here. I've only been stirring for like a minute and a half so far. I could also kind of see why those other professionals want to do an additional 3 minutes of stirring, is to make sure that it really has been mixed thoroughly. As you can kind of see, it doesn't really look like it's completely worked in together, so, but it probably is. I mean, everybody stirs differently. I mean, some people can stir like so, and some people stir with their finger, holding it like a pencil, kind of like how I'm doing it right now. So I guess it depends on how you stir and how can you stir and how long you can actually stir before your hand starts cramping. So, sorry, it's like 5 minutes of stirring can get really boring, and you can't really do anything else but sit here or stand here or walk around stirring. So, I think everything has more or less been mixed in pretty good. I got a minute and 50 seconds left for it to be 5 minutes. So it looks like it has actually more or less been mixed in thoroughly, because it looks exactly like it would when I'm mixing it for 8 minutes. So we'll see how it comes. We'll see what happens for doing it this long, and we'll see how our stuff comes out. This time though, there is something that I'm going to do different, which is I am going to use the heat gun on the plastic, because last time I didn't really heat gun them very good, and that was because and pop all the bubbles, which I did bring in that piece. And the reasoning why I didn't do it was because it's just a test. As you can see, when you have a test, you don't really care too much about what you're doing, or if you do all the things you normally would do outside of the test. Oh man, arthritis in the hands. Jeez Louise. It's just like holding this. Oh, my hand's hurting. Might look into what you call it? The fuck? Sorry guys, I just randomly saw a bubble pop out of the resin. Awesome. There we go. 5 minutes. Alright. So, here comes the test. As you can kind of see, it's not very clear. This was the piece I did last time, and I wanted to show that it didn't come out clear. So, yeah, sorry about the foot shot. Alrighty. I got my pigment stuff, and we're going to start this. But before we do, I'm going to do something. I want to make sure there is no way this gets on the floor. Oh, that would be bad. I actually don't know what epoxy would do to carpet, but I don't want to find out. So, it's best to be safe than sorry. Alright, so that one's set. So 2 of them I don't really need to worry too much of anything happening. This one though, that you can see me pouring into, kinda have to worry slightly. Right. So while it's doing its thing there, move on to this one. And this one. Give it a second here. I might have not mixed up enough. Downside of, you know, trying to do the one in the back. Once I get it all filled in and I'm about to put the pigments in, I will show. All right, I could add a little bit more into that one. Okay. All right. More into this. And just a little more into this one. There we go. Oh shit. This is why I'm glad I did it on plastic. Alright. There we go. So I did not have, unfortunately, enough for the... Uh-oh. You guys are probably seeing what I'm uh-ohing about right now. And that is the one here, which once I'm going to do the pigments real quick here. So I'm going to shake it up here. I'm going to do, oh shit, of course. I always forget you have to cut it. So one hopefully hasn't started to set yet, but I brought scissors somewhere and I can't find them. I just had them too. Sorry, hitting the camera. Huh. Alright, so you're gonna see, which I'm gonna shift the camera here real quick, that it's starting to spill out. And that's not what I wanted for this one. So give me a sec, because I gotta put it like that. And I'm going to actually be right back here in a second so I can clip the tip of all these things. That was something I forgot to do. So so it's a good thing it's plastic. It should not have any repercussions of me, you know, so we're going to I'm not going to swirl this one, which is the white, and there's reasonings because of this. Sorry about the light shifting. Just trying to catch up right. Okay. So definitely something what I need to do is use seal my little thing, which is the cardboard epoxied. It seems to be fine so far. So we're going to 3 drips into that one. So we did blue for the Tupperware one. And I'm sorry, the lights are just affecting with my tablets, and I apologize for it, as if there we go. And a couple drops of purple. There we go. Okay. So now what we're going to do is kind of, in this one, the Tupperware, so you can see I'm kind of just mixing the color in a little. Okay, and then in the purple one, just gonna kind of mix it in just a little bit here. Normally, what I've been told and what I've seen in videos is when it comes to the coloring, you do the coloring like while you're mixing. So what I would have done is in which is also, and here I'm gonna hold my tablet, give me a second. So normally, as you can see here, when you do the colors, as you see, I have a blue one in the Tupperware over there. I have purple in the cover, which is right there, and I just did a couple white drops into my little thing. So I'm not sure. I think the reason why it keeps flashing is not because the lights here are bad. It's just trying to get the coloring right for it. But anyways, so as you can see, a total of 6 ounces in that cup, which is over there. Only was barely able to do the 3 that I did. So I know if I was doing just 2 coasters, I would need so I'm gonna pause here and try and fix the lighting here on my tablet. Okay, so I'm back. So I think it's just my tablet decided to try and do some auto lighting. As you can see, unfortunately, the the one I made a frame here is starting to pour out onto the plastic. So it's not. You would think, why Destiny? Why didn't you just seal it down on top of the cardboard? It would have been fine. Correct, but I also wanted to make the test on whatever is left over. Will it stick to the plastic? Would it eat through the plastic? And this is where I'm gonna keep keeping an eye on, see if it actually unsticks. So this was not just the, oh shit, I should have taped down the frame to the cardboard or made some sort of seal. It was actually done kind of on purpose, sadly. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, here in the purple one, there is some on the plastic. That was actually from me moving the popsicle stick, and it dripped off to the side. So right now, we'll see what happens with the purple. Normally it takes about 4 hours for it to cure in the correct weather temperature that Incredible Solutions has recommended, which is between 70 and 85 degrees of and that should be the best time for this. Now you see in the blue one, okay, it doesn't look like there's any leakage, which I'm kind of glad, because that Tupperware has a crack in it. And I don't recall when I did this piece and I did my test with the Tupperware, I don't know if when I tried to pop out the piece it made the crack, or if the crack was because of the epoxy. That's also why I wanted to do it again, see if it was that. So I'm hoping in 4 hours from now, which right now for me is 8 o'clock, and I just finished pouring it in, that'll be midnight. I don't know. I don't think I'll be awake, but if I am, I could come in here and check it, and I could always check in every 3 hours or so what's going on. Otherwise, I'll leave it here overnight, and then in the morning, check out, see how things have solidified. And I mean, if this frame really worked, I can make better frames for later. Like I said, I kind of half-assed did this popsicle stick setup and then taped it with glue, with Gorilla Glue. So if I like the size and it comes out what I want it to, then I would make more. And it has to be able to pop out. That's my biggest problem. And that's why I wanted to do this and watch it, not really deliberately, watch it all spew out. As you can see, it's just coming out in kind of in droves, because it looks like it's not just from the sides, it's also from the top, it's from the bottom. But anyways, so for 6 ounces, which I have this now noted, I could do 3 small coasters, not very thick coasters. So hopefully it could work. Sorry about that. Thought I could switch the view to me easier without having to do this. Anyways, sorry. So hopefully in the time this takes to cure and get solid, I can know how thick it comes, and I have in my little notebook how many ounces it took to do these 3. That's also including the spillage that the frame that I made design happened. I also, you guys probably wonder, you sound different. Yeah, I took off the mask because I was finished, yet I'm still in the same room. But it doesn't matter. Right now, I am hoping some good results come with me doing this. If not, if it comes out weird and it doesn't keep that dimple, what I probably will do, and I can pop it out easily in the Tupperware cover and actual Tupperware, that's how I'm going to make my coasters. Which isn't a bad thing. I mean, hey, if you guys don't like the idea of the little dimple in the center of your coaster, let me know, and then I can find out, I'll not find out, but I will do other ways of preventing that from being there. Example, sand it out, fill in the little dimple so that when it's filled up, it doesn't have it. There are Tupperware that doesn't have that dimple too, so I can get some Tupperware that doesn't have that. So for now, we'll see how this goes, and I'll catch you guys later.